So the Gemara is saying that if you just get past that stage, if you could just get past the part of the Tahara and get down to the core of the individual, he really wants to do. When he's saying Rotza'ani, it's what he really wants to do. He's clear about this now. Because the beating put away the Tahara. It silenced the Tahara long enough for him to say, he may change his mind after. It doesn't make a difference. He signed, it's over, it's finished. So, free will, therefore, means, according to the Gemara, and according to Torah, obviously, that it's a will that's free of the Yetzer Hara. It's the ability to be able to see clearly and do what you really want to do, and not just what you feel like doing. Because what you feel like doing is often a function of the Yetzer Hara, and what you want to do is usually a function of the intellect and your ratzon, your will. That's clear. That's clear all through history. That's the source of nobility. Crises and difficult situations have a way of waking a person up to the point they can actually realize what's emes, what's not emes, and push aside the Yetzer Hara and do what has to be done in spite of the fact they feel like doing just the opposite. That's the definition of maturity. A person is mature when they can do what they want as opposed to what they feel like doing. The trouble is that most people don't understand exactly what they want through life. That's why they're always changing their mind. So, just to be clear, that they're basically, based upon this definition of Bechira, free will, there are three principal things you have to have. You have to be clear about in order to be able to have and utilize your free will. I mean, you have it anyhow, but the potential for Bechira is there. In order to utilize your free will, to make sure that you're actually making free will decisions on a daily basis, you require three things. The first thing is you have to believe in an objective truth. If you don't believe in an objective truth, which we could of course call God, then basically there is no objective truth as far as you're concerned. If there's no objective truth as far as you're concerned, as far as mankind is concerned, then all you're left with is opinion. That's all you can have. It's simply opinion. No individual can claim to know or to be the objective truth. It's always going to be subjective truth. Subjective truth basically is an opinion. It's the way that you look at the world, how you feel about it, which is a function of your upbringing, who you are, your family life, your situation, circumstances, which changes from person to person. So the best you can have is opinion. Once you have opinion, then it's impossible to be able to measure if what you're doing in fact is moral and truthful or not. So you have to first of all believe the objective truth, an objective truth which of course we call God. That's not enough. You have to also believe that not only is there an objective truth, but that we know the objective truth. That the objective truth has been communicated to mankind. Vis-a-vis, for example, Torah from Sinai. Kodesh Baruch Hu somehow found a way specifically to talk to man and give over his morals, his axioms of creation, his moral truths. He said, I am objective truth, and here is how objective truth is manifested in your reality. You have to believe that. Because you believe in objective, yeah, I do, but I believe there's a God. But I'm not so sure God spoke to us. I'm not so sure God told us what he's thinking. If people believe that you're back to opinions once again. You have gained nothing, really, by believing in objective truth, unless you also believe that God, or the objective truth, has communicated with men and told them what that objective truth is. Because once you have that, then you can say, well, what I'm doing right now, does that match that? Does that match that? So you can see where your opinion is, which we'll call small r reality, matches the objective truth. Or if it doesn't, then you can change and you can do tshuva and you can enhance your life by becoming a more moral person. But even that's not enough. As we see in the Jewish world today, in the religious world in general, that there are many people who believe in objective truth. There are many people who believe that God communicated his objective truth. And in the name of their idea of objective truth, they're going out and doing exactly the opposite of what God... They're going out and doing exactly the opposite of what God actually wants. So to believe in objective truth is step one. To believe that God, in fact, has communicated an objective truth is stage two. But the third part, which is extremely important, is you have to believe in the concept of a Yetzer Hara, and that we have one, and that it can affect your decision-making process. Without that, you can delude yourself all the time. You can rationalize. Every individual has to say, okay, here's the truth. I mean, you see it all the time. People are constantly rationalizing their actions and their thoughts and their words as if God agrees to it, because they are listening to the Yetzer Hara. There's a thing called the From Yetzer Hara. A religious Yetzer Hara takes halachic reasoning and uses it to convince the person to do just the opposite of the will of God in the end. So you have to believe in the Yetzer Hara, and you have to believe you have one inside of you, and you have to realize the Yetzer Hara has the ability to hijack your brain and your emotions and make you believe that what it wants is what you want, that what it feels is what you're feeling, and that what it thinks is right is what you think is right. And the chacham, the smart person, the person who understands and appreciates that, can stand back and can say, wait a second, where is that voice coming from? And what does it actually mean? I know what I feel like doing, and I know what I want to do, but is it the right thing? Is it really me? Is it what I really want to do ultimately on the highest level that I can achieve as an individual? Or am I simply following my taivas and gaivas and rationalizing, using Torah, using halachic reasoning to do so? Or do I not even care? So that's the difference. That's what Moshe is saying over here. When Moshe is saying, I place before you brucha v'klala, and I'm laying it out so carefully and clearly to you, it's not because it's simple, not because I'm just trying to go, overview, all the simplest details and ideas that Torah has to present. It's because I'm warning all of you right now. You have to realize that unless you are activating all three levels, all three aspects of Bechira, you're learning and living with the reality of an objective truth. Number two, you're real with the idea that God has in fact communicated this objective truth to mankind. And the third, and perhaps most important detail of all, in many respects, is that you know that you have a Yetzer Hara, and that it's active within you, and you understand and appreciate how easily it can steer you off the derech. It can start with small things at first, and then build up, till eventually, literally, you're pursuing avodah zarah. You can start with the smallest little leniency, the smallest little weakness in your belief in Torah. That's all you're giving up on. But it says Moshe Rabbeinu, once you open the door to that Yetzer Hara, it sticks its foot in until basically the door becomes wide open. And before you know it, the person is in fact pursuing exactly the opposite of the objective truth. These days, Elul is approaching, and this is extremely important to focus on. And it wouldn't hurt to sit down and ask yourself the question, how many free choices do I make on a daily basis? I mean, real free choices that are free of the Torah. Because for the most part, you'll find out that you may make a lot of decisions during the course of the day, but they're mostly preferences. They're not free will choices, not necessarily choices free of the Yetzer Hara. Because you know how you know when you have to make this, you know what it feels like, right? Should I give tzedakah? Absolutely. Should I give a little bit more? I'm not so sure, and it's kind of hurts, and I can, right there. When you feel the rationalization, when you feel the hisnagdus, the opposition, free will choices, because they are moral, because they cause a person to live on a higher standard of living than they're used to, by definition, will tend to create inner struggle. If you don't live with an inner struggle on a daily basis, you don't feel the impact of your choices on a daily basis, chances are they're mostly decisions about preferences, not so much free will choices. As the Mesilas Yesharim points out, Derech Hashem says specifically, life is a raging war. It's an ongoing battle. And anybody who feels that their war is over, their life is peaceful, chances are they've lost the battle. Because their will is not free. On the contrary, it is enslaved to the Yetzer Hara. And this time of year, as Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur approach, this is the time to break loose, to break free, and to become independent beings with free will, by which we earn a reward in the world to come.